Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Seikenberry. Well, I'm Markee Dragon, known as Marcus Seikenberry in real life. It's been so long since I used that intro that it's like, man, I didn't even remember how to say it. So I don't do a whole lot of IRL content these days. Most of it's in Eve. And so anyway, we are going to work on the motherboard today for this build, and it's heavy. It's a big one. It's a Gigabyte motherboard. Gigabyte is one of my favorite brands for motherboards. In fact, most of the systems that I've built have been using Gigabyte boards, and you know, it's not to say that there aren't others out there that that aren't as good or whatever, because I'm sure there is. There are other brands out there that are good. There's Asus. There's a few others, but I've just stuck with Gigabyte all this time. It goes all the way back, and in fact, this is very long form. So if you're looking for the actual build portion of this, we'll get to it. You might just have to fast forward in the video if you're watching on YouTube. Those of you on Twitch, you know my style. So, my dealings with Gigabyte go all the way back to about probably 2002 or so. I used to own a computer store way back when, and it was wildly successful. I was very young back then. I didn't know, well, you know, young. I mean, I was, what, 30 or something. Let's just say I was not very experienced with business. Even though I've been self-employed almost my entire life, I've lost my fortune twice. And, you know, it all comes down to, you know, being good at managing money, which I am much better these days. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. And so anyway, I owned a computer store back in 2001, 2002, something like that. And I had been doing contract work for people before that, and I got sucked into Y2K, doing Y2K conversions and everything. I did for Department of Energy in the United States, and I did it for Nike. And those were both great. They taught me a lot of things. One of the things they taught me was how to go really big in thinking in compute with, you know, server rooms, you know, large farms of servers and everything. And that really helped with everything in the future. Now, Gigabyte is not typically a server motherboard. Typically, there are other companies that provide server type motherboards. But this, I was a Gigabyte, you know, authorized reseller in way back when. And we sold a shit ton of Gigabyte stuff. And I've just been a fan ever since. So now this motherboard is a mid-range motherboard. They have several different ones right now for the new LGA 1851 socket type, which is the Intel Core Ultra 5, 7, and 9. We will be putting a Ultra 9 285K into this. And so, I am a little bit late in recording this video because I've had this for more than a week now. And the reason is I haven't been able to get the CPU ordered. If you use Amazon, !computer, there's a link to my Amazon stuff there where I now have all of the parts listed for this. I was able to buy my CPU on Amazon last night, and I had been refreshing the page probably about 10 or 15 times a day, and I refreshed, and all of a sudden, oh shit, it said one left. So I bought it right away, and I paid extra for it. I think I paid about $100 premium So I paid $6.99 for it. I think $5.89 is the suggested retail, but I think that it's been advertised at like $6.19 to $6.29 different places. Anyway, I paid $6.99 and it's on its way here. It's not coming overnight. It'll be here in a few days. So now I can get started on this. And let's see here. So I've got a bunch of other stuff here which we're going to put out of the way. Look at the previous video in this playlist if you want to see all of the other stuff as I go over it, and I will go over each individual one in the build as we go as well. So, all right, here is the case, and let me get this ship out of the way. So this case is very nice. I think that I'm going to have to unmount this door, though, while I do the build. I don't think that it's going to work very well having this out on, having this hanging out while I'm doing the build, because I'm going to want to lay it down. Or do I need to lay it down? I don't know. So I know that we're looking at the motherboard in this episode, but it's all about the mounting of the motherboard, which involves the case. This is the Corsair 6500 series. And so let's see here. We've got a couple of, screws here. Yeah, I don't know if I want to try and take this off or not. I'm just not sure I want to. Let me see. Does the glass lift up and off? Doesn't seem so. Look at this. It's screwed in here. 3 screws here, 3 screws here. Let me just lay this down and see whether or not I really am going to lay this down for the mount, or we're just going to work at it from the side. I think that feels a little bit awkward, bringing that glass all the way down. And this feels really good doing this part. All right, let's see here. Maybe we're gonna unmount this glass. You know, one of the things I do have some complaints about with doing a build these days is like the case here. It just gave me a QR code and said, "Here's your instructions." Well, I happen to be filming on my cell phone, and so I don't really have the option of looking it up on there right now. And let's see here. Let's see how easy this is to take these out. Well, that's not going to be bad at all. I'm just going to unscrew this from here. It's going to be so much easier to be able to put this on its side. And first quandary, where to put the screws. Let's see here. I have an old sandwich plate. Oh my. All right. There we go. Let's just, these are tiny little screws. I think this is going to come off pretty easy. So, there is these other screws that are in it up here on the glass. They're an Allen wrench, and they are mounted on glass. I'm going to elect not to remove these. I don't want to mess with any stuff that they have for the glass. Look at that. That's nice. All right. Oh, here, it does come off. Jesus Christ, I didn't have to do that. I just realized it does lift off. You move it so far and it'll lift off. Okay, well that makes sense. I was thinking it was a little strange that I might have to do this, but all right, let's screw that back in. All right. Yeah, better than unscrewing it all. Okay, so there are these pins here. It looks like I'm going to be able to lift it off. And I'm going to do it while it's sitting up. And here, oh, there's a screw all the way up at the top up here, right up here. Let's see if I got the camera right. Oh, I'm looking at my monitor thing here. Wow, I do not know how to aim a camera. There we go. There's a screw right up here. And so I think that we pull that out and it'll allow me to lift this off. It looks like. Yep, very nice. Now, to put this someplace safe. Like where the cats won't knock it over, shit like that. All right, there we go. I'll just have to remember I put it there. So I'm going to put this screw back in so that I don't lose it. And there we go. Side of the case is off. And we're looking good. All right. Okay, let's see if we can see in here if there's enough light for this. Yeah, looks pretty good. I'm using a Pixel phone, and it's actually kind of not very bright in here, but this thing does nice. So, all right, I think that the first thing that we're going to do is the motherboard. It is the linchpin of everything, unless it's coming too far out here for fans. And yeah, let's actually look at the fan design that I'm going to do first. Kind of have an idea of how I am going to tackle that. And let's see here. Adjust the camera here. There we go. So I've got a lot of places that I can put fans in this case. And so it has a lot of room in it for radiators and such, but I don't, I'm not going to go radiator this time. I feel like that liquid cooling is more of a fad and is not necessary these days. So anyway, we've got 3 fan spots up here, and let's see here. I've got the Noctua fans, and I've got multiple of them. I bought 9 of them. Let's open one of them right now. These are premium fans. I mean, seriously premium. These are way more expensive than most fans. You can do ! Amazon in Twitch chat. There's a link in the description in YouTube to these fans, and these really are premium. So they probably will last me beyond this build. And so when my CPU is, or the technology that I'm using is no longer good, these things should still be going. They have a lifespan on them that's like over 7 years. And the average fans that I've been buying are like 2 years. I usually get more than 2 years out of them. But anyway, so, and these are going to be as quiet too. They're not going to be completely silent, but they're going to be quieter. And so I'm able to put like 3 of them down here. This is really turning out to be more of a case video, isn't it? I think we're switching to this being about the case. And so 3 of them here. And then I don't think that that it's going to line up here. So this is 144 millimeter. It's 140 or 144. It's a 140 millimeter fan, and normal case fans are 120. So this one is bigger, and here these are all 120s. Up here they are 120 or 140, and it looks like I'll be able to fit 3 of them up here. And then in the back here, we'll be able to put an exhaust fan here. And so now I got to figure out like what approximately I'm doing here for this. I've got 9 of these fans. In no way do I think that I'm going to use all 9 of them in here. I think all 9 would be too much. And so I think what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be wanting to create, let's see, do I need positive pressure or negative pressure? I think I need positive pressure. Meaning that while like the fan in the back and the fans in the front, what they're doing is pulling out the hot air. Down here, we're going to be pushing in air. And so, you know, potentially we have 3 fans down here. And then also I have fan spots up front here where it can do 120s or 140s, and that's another 3 spots. So if we look at this with, if we look at this as trying to be pressure positive, then what'll happen is through the other spots back here and over here, it will heat and air will just leak out. Now I did see some videos about this. Most of the system setups were 6 fans, and if I did 4 vent fans, gee whiz, do I really want to do 5 intake fans? I think that might be too much. I have enough. I have enough. Does it have an airflow chart? It may. I haven't looked it up. So I think though that when we put the motherboard in here, that we're going to have plenty of room to play around with this stuff. And so I'm not going to worry about it too terribly much, but I just kind of wanted to visually see, you know, what's going on here and where I'm going to put stuff before I put in the motherboard, just in case there was something that needed to be addressed before putting in the motherboard. I don't want to put the motherboard in and take it back out again because I realized that I forgot to do something. So this case is set up with back panel openings, and so there can be some connectors on the back. I don't know whether or not this motherboard I purchased does have any back connectors. It may. Let me put this away. We're going to not use this right now. Let's unbox the motherboard, and we'll take a look at it and see what options it has on it. And these things are child-proof, that you can't put them back the same way they were. There we go. All right. So this case is heavy. It's steel in portions of it. All right, so again, let's see. This is the Aorus or Aorus Gigabyte Aorus 7890 Aorus Master. one of the reasons that I chose this motherboard, I actually wanted one with dual 10 gigabit connections. This one has just one. And the other gigabyte ones that have the dual connections are AI top motherboards. And they're, I think, geared a little bit more towards priority of AI. I'm building a gaming machine here. It's gonna have all the AI stuff. And so anyway, let's see here. Let's take a look at it. They give us this fancy cardboard. All right. Maybe they just want me to lift out. Wow. Oh man, this sucker's heavy. It's very heavy. I mean, does that mean it feels like it's more well made? I don't really know. But here, it is very heavy. And all right, let's open this up. Tape on the inside here. Try not to get my beard caught in it. And there we are. Thing of beauty here. So it's not a very big motherboard. I've dealt with stuff that's much, much bigger. It's not small either. So some of the stuff about this is, all right, so let's see here. We can see back there, you can see the network connection, and that is a 10 gig network connection. I've got a 10 gig hub, or not hub, they're not hubs these days, they're switches. It's got multiple USB 3.2. It's got, I think, a couple of Thunderbolt ports, and it's got stuff back here. Oh, it has Wi-Fi as well, but the I won't be using the Wi-Fi because I'm using this. I'm going to be doing NDI transmission of the desktop to my stream machine, and because I'm doing that, it is it's going to be it's going to be needing, well, maybe it can do it over Wi-Fi, but I don't want to push it that far. I really want it to be doing everything over the network. So there is no fiber port. I thought about that too. None of the motherboards are coming with fiber ports. To put fiber in, the fiber ports are really things that you see on server level stuff. You can get cards to put in, but it's only 3 card slots here. So how are you gonna, manage all of that and stuff? Anyway, this is looking really good, and I'm gonna set it down here for just a second. Okie dokie. So, looking at this, I think I want to put it up here in the case and just kind of size it up here. There's already several pins here in the case for mounting, and I'm going to assume that they're all lined up correctly for the moment, but we will verify that. One of the things that can be really deadly to a computer is that these little stands here for putting screws in, is that if you put your motherboard in and you mount it, and one of these is actually pushing up against the electronics in the back, that's a very bad thing. So this motherboard does not have any backside connectors. So everything is going to go through the front side. And so it's going to go this way here, like that. All right, so that doesn't look too bad. We'll have to see if I have to pull off any of these protective covers before I screw it in. I don't know if I need to or not, but this is the way it's going to sit, and I think that'll be just fine. So I think that looks pretty good. So the cover here is got, this is where you're going to put your NVMe, and let's see here. The more expensive the board, the better the better the components and everything. Here is, okay, so one of the things is that you have these right here. So this is the heat sink, heat dissipation, and you can run without this if your chips have a heat sink on them, but otherwise you use this, and you take these off. For each one of these, you have a stick under. So it looks like this has got 4 spots in here, and we've got 1, 2, and then here, this looks like this is heat dissipation as well right here, and then 3 and 4. So anyway, I don't know that I'll ever need that much if you think about it. I've got one 4 terabyte stick, and it's not going to be that big. This is it right here. It's on the top of the list for speeds and everything. It's in the top 10 for 4 terabyte NVMe drives. And most likely, I'm going to put it into this one right here. This one says Gen 5. The others here, I don't know if they have anything written on them. Let me get my flashlight. Let's see if I blind everybody. So this one says Gen 5. These here don't say anything else. So this is going to be the one. This is a Gen 5 drive, and so that's where it's going to be going. And since it's got the covering here as well as on here, it looks like it's going to have heat dissipation from both sides, which would be good. So very easy to do. It's got these little switches here, which I was able to do with just my hand. So we'll leave everything on this until, let's see here. I think it's got some notches in here for mounting on these right here. Make sure you can't get it in the wrong way, I guess. Yeah, look at that. Wow, it just fits really nicely in there. That's one thing about some of the motherboard research I was doing, is that some of these require screws. Some of them have extra little things to where you don't require screws for anything. This one, you know, obviously I'm going to have to screw down the motherboard, but for the memory chips, or I want to call it a hard drive. It's not a hard drive though. I saw the question about memory, and I do have memory here. This motherboard has 4 memory slots in it, and there's a primary and a secondary. So there's the silver and then there's the black. Those are the pairs, and so we're gonna fill them with, you know, if you only had 2 sticks, you'd put them probably in the 2 silver. We're going to look that up and make sure. And if you had 4, well, then you do all 4. Also, when you buy memory, so I got, this is the most memory I've ever had in a single computer. This is more Corsair memory, and this is the fastest that it says it can do without overclocking. And there's a lot of talk right now about getting up to speeds of like 10,000 and 12,000 and such. That's all with overclocking. All the specs on this, the max is 6400. Now, it doesn't mean that overclocking is bad or whatnot, but I really build stuff with a lot of stability in mind. And so I don't plan on overclocking this, at least not right now. Maybe later, I will. But right now, I want stability, nothing overclocked, and then I bought 64 gig probably would have been enough. I'm building for the future, so it's 128, and I bought them both at the same time. It probably doesn't matter as much these days, but in the old days, it mattered on the manufacturing sequence numbers, that you could have some issues if you didn't buy them all in sequence. And these are, well, let's see here. Are they in sequence? They're close. They're probably not back to back off the manufacturing line. It may not matter these days, but I know that back in the early 2000s, that if you were going to go with a lot of memory, you wanted to keep them as close as possible, because if we were to buy 64 now and then in a year I want another 64, I might be able to buy the same model, but I might not be able to as well. So then you could end up with just little inconsistencies with the matching, and what will happen is that if that happens, it will automatically slow everything down to the lowest compatibility mode. This is going to allow me to do it at full speed, no problems. So that is my plan. I'm also noticing that there's a lot of other heat sinks on here. Oh, what's under here? I wonder if that's another Gen 5 slot. Maybe I should look at look at that. Oh yeah, it is. This has 2 Gen 5 slots. How about that? All right, so let's see here. Right there, there's another one. I just uncovered it. I was just starting to look at the heatsink stuff. And so here's another one. So it has 2 Gen 5 slots on it. And here's a pretty major heatsink. So I understand that these NVMEs, especially these ones that are such high performance, that you really could end up being you end up with a shutdown almost right away if you don't have your heat dissipation going. So all right, this is good. This is really good. And probably, so primary video card is going to go in the slot closest to the CPU. And there's some reasons for that. If you don't know, the primary slot is going to have direct pipelines to the CPU, whereas the second and third slots are going to have pipelines that go through the chipset. And so there's a little bit extra travel time and processing time of the motherboard to get through for executions of stuff. So you want, if at all possible, to be in the primary slot with your main video card. This is going to have 2 cards in it. So this is going to be one of them, and this is the 4070 Ti Super. And it's overclocked and 16 gigs of memory. I'm going to either do 2 of those, or what I'm going to start out with on this build, though, is just one of them. And we'll see how well it powers 2 4K monitors. It'll probably do okay, but we shall see. And then either I'm going to put a second one of those in, or I am going to end up getting one of the 50 series that I think are going to be announced very soon, and it looks like they're going to be released in January. It also looks like the price is going to be insane, and so who knows, right? Yeah. All right. Let's see here. There's a lot of other heat fins here. Some more over here. And I think this thing's going to create a lot of heat. I just feel like that when this thing's going, it's really gonna be a little toaster oven. And so even in the winter, I may be running my AC in my office here. I don't know. We'll see. But all right, now see what all is in here. Looks like it might be a heat sensor. I mean, stickers. I've never been into the stickers. Oh, interesting. So this has a Wi-Fi plug on the back of it. I thought it might be 2 antenna. Instead, it's this right here. And I don't know, probably made to fit on top of the case or whatever, something like that. It's got a little bit of cord on it. I'm not going to use the Wi-Fi on this, so that's just going to end up staying in the box. You know, I'll keep it because I might later. I'm going to come back to this. This looks interesting. So, some SATA cables. This looks like a G connector. What the hell is a G connector? They probably made it up because it's gigabyte. G connector. I'll bet that okay. So this is for LEDs, front of the case. And the SATA stuff. Now, this one is pretty interesting. We're definitely going to have to look at the manual. It's a little fan. And it's got a little bracket on it, which is bent here or whatnot. I don't know what that's for. I'm gonna take a guess that it might have something to do with the cooling down here. I don't know. We'll look that up. Here is what I believe is another heat sensor. Wow, this is one thin, small cable. I don't know what it is. It's very small. It's got a little sensor on the end of it. I'll figure it out. All right. So, damn. I was hoping for a manual. I mean, here's all my warnings. And then multilingual installation guide. Do you think it just has pictures? Is that how they can say, oh, it's multilingual? All right. Let's see here. So, showing, really? Step 1 is to put the CPU in. You don't want to mount the motherboard first. Step 2 is to put in memory. Step 3, prepare the case and install the motherboard. He wants the motherboard, interesting. It wants the CPU and RAM installed before, it wants it installed before installing it into the case. Interesting. So, oh, and this is This is Intel and AMD, you know, on how to do the sockets. So space working inside the case will be limited. Yeah, well, that's why I have a big case. So then after you install the motherboard, install the power supply. Got it. Oh, and your CD-ROM drive. Can't forget about your CD-ROM drive. Guys, this doesn't even have a drive bay in it for a CD-ROM. And then your cables. What? Really? So it's step 7, step 6. Really? It wants me to plug the shit into the back of the computer before connecting all the power up here. I don't know. I always feel like that's pretty suspect. Anyway, I will keep this out so that I can refer to it if I'm having any issues. Now, what this doesn't have, I don't see anywhere anything that shows me what any of this is. There's no manual in here. It's just, it's not here. Maybe there's pictures here. No. So, yeah, I'm probably going to have to look online. And, I mean, that's fine and everything, but I miss the days of there being, like, just a little bit more substance to things. I mean, this is high quality, but I feel like, I don't know, it's like I'm going to have to get my laptop out and put it next to this while I build it so that I can know what these extra things are. And so, all right. Well, I'm not going to worry about it at this moment. I'm going to put them back into the box. And my multilingual installation guide. Guess I'll leave that out in case I need to look at a picture. So, all right. Okay, probably a good stopping point for this video right here. So if you're watching on YouTube, see you in the next episode.